Being said, we have a list of agencies. There is no particular order to this, but we'll just get down through it. The first one on our agenda is Granite V&A.
Good evening. Is it on? Yep. Excellent. Well, thanks for having me tonight. My name is Brian Winslow. I'm representing Granite V&A. If the name Granite V&A doesn't sound familiar to you, you might recognize us by other names that we've had in the past, like Central New Hampshire V&A and Hospice, or even the V&A and Hospice of Southern Carroll County and vicinity. We actually changed our name about 18 months ago as a result of a rather large merger of two home health care and hospice agencies, Central New Hampshire V&A and Hospice and Concord Regional V&A. So we became Granite V&A April 1st of last year. We still have our Wolfeboro office on South Main Street, and we still provide all the same services we always have. So I'm here tonight to request $22,000. That's a flat request from last year to help us provide some of those services. And if you'd indulge me a couple minutes, I'll talk a bit about what we actually do in the home and maybe even the numbers of individuals we served this past year. So we have 3 core programs and a growing community benefit program. The 3 core programs are exactly what you might remember: home health care, hospice and palliative care, and pediatrics. And I'll talk a little bit about each. I'll be quick, I promise. Our home health care program is exactly what it sounds like. We provide health care in the home. We dispatch clinicians to provide needed health care. Those clinicians typically are nurses, licensed nursing assistants, medical social workers, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, nutritionists, basically whatever's needed, we dispatch to the home. Actually, last fiscal year in the town of Wolfeboro, we served 422 clients in our home care program and made 5,704 visits. In doing that, we provided $42,621 of charity care. Our hospice program, hospice and palliative care, is care at the end of life. It's really designed to provide care, health care, and comfort for individuals nearing the end of their life, but it also provides services like spiritual care and bereavement services to individuals' families. Last fiscal year in the town of Wolfeboro, we had 52 clients in hospice, and we made approximately 802 visits. We provided $3,215 in charity care in that program. Our pediatric program, great program, serves kids up to the age of 18. We provide the same kind of home health care to those children up to the age of 18, but we also provide other services to at-risk youth and a lot of social supports that come with those services. One of the ones that we've been doing for the longest time is our maternal child health care program, and that's where we do provide services to mom and baby, both prenatally and post-birth. And we have a great program right now that is modeled after what is called the Healthy Families America model, which actually takes in a family that's at high risk. Children are typically ages 0 to 5, and we follow them as long as we can and provide whatever social services and help that we can to make sure that that family is successful. In Wolfeboro last fiscal year, we had 28 families, many more clients, but 28 families that we followed, and we made 120 visits. So total, we had 502 clients in Wolfeboro, 6,626 visits, total charity care of $45,682. I wanted to take just a second to talk about the growing community benefits program that we have, something that we are enhancing since the merger. Community benefit program for us is simply a a service, a program, maybe something educational that we offer to the public that helps them with their health care. It's not necessarily revenue generating, and it certainly isn't covered by insurance, but it's something that we like to offer. We have a couple of things going on recently and coming up, and I'd love to mention them. We have a new foot care clinic opening up. It's at the community center. I think the next one's October 25th, right, Amy? 25th? We have what we call balance screenings now at the library, where people can come in and we can screen them for balance, their gait, walking, making sure that they're not going to have any falls, end up in the hospital, and end up in our care. It's largely preventative. If there are issues, we have a lovely Matter of Balance program that we host every so often that we'll enroll them in and make sure that they do exercises and preventative care that way. We also have a cool, nice new program. We're calling it LEAP, which stands for Learn, Explore, and Play. And that's for the kiddos. That's actually coming up in November, and that's up at the library too. So we have a number of growing community benefit programs, and we're excited to offer them and work with everybody to do so. I'm open to any questions you might have.
Anybody have questions at this point? No? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me go first, guys.
Okay, next on the list is Meals on Wheels. Anybody here for that? Okay, they are asking for the same amount as they have in the past. So. Okay. Okay, we can do that. The Children's Center. Anybody here from the Children's Center yet? Okay. Tri-County Communication. Life Ministries. Let's see. Life Ministries, they are looking for the same amount.
Right, good evening, and just to that note, the original letter said 6:30. The agenda
okay.
says 6 o'clock, so you may have some authorized excusals when people come in late. Good evening. My name is Bill Connors. I'm the president of the board of the Life Ministries Food Pantry. The Food Pantry is a 501c3 nonprofit organization founded in 1985. It's overseen by a 15-member board of directors, along with ex officio membership of the clergy from the founding churches. And it's operated by approximately 60 to 65 volunteers. Our mission is to provide access to food security to qualified members of the community with dignity and respect. We provide sufficient food to prepare 10 meals each week for each family member. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have operated on a drive-through basis on the first and third Wednesdays of every month. During 2021, the Food Pantry distributed 136,477 meals. We saw a little bit of a drop in our numbers during 2021, but as economic pressure has tightened on all of our families, we have seen a steady increase in recent months and an absolute spike in the past month or two. As of today, we've distributed 108,299 meals during 2022. That represents an increase of approximately 8.7% over the same period of time last year. Last week alone, we served 154 families in our drive-through distribution last Wednesday. Our food budget for the current fiscal year is $133,000. The Food Pantry is funded solely through grants and contributions, and we are fortunate to live in such a generous and caring community. But our volume has been increasing and our expenses have been increasing. And even though we purchase much of our food at low cost through the New Hampshire Food Bank, Even there, the cost of food has been increasing due to inflation. Nevertheless, we are requesting level funding in the amount of $15,000. I just wanted to share a couple of lines from a letter that we received just a few days ago from one of our clients. The excerpt is this. First off, we want to express our gratitude for all the hard work everyone puts into the food pantry. Don directing traffic no matter what the weather, people going from car to collect the homework, as Judy calls it, the ones in the office inputting all the information into the system, the shoppers, the ones bringing it to our car, the people handling the budget and purchasing the food items from the New Hampshire Food Bank, and much, much more I have no idea about. I truly have no idea how we could have gotten by as we have these last few years without the food pantry. A big thank you. We shared a situation that we recently had, and Debbie was so nice to take time out of her already hectic day to chat with us. Thank you. Then Diana came to the car saying that Debbie had shared with her what had happened, and she also took time to chat with us. Again, thank you. You have no idea how much that meant to us. People we see only occasionally there at the food pantry, actually caring enough about our well-being to take time to chat with us. Amazing and outstanding. We left there with tears in our eyes and an overflowing and grateful heart. Thank you all ever so much. So that's from one of our clients who has been in some very, very dire straits for the last few years, and I think a good example of the kind of work that our volunteers do. And our volunteers do an extraordinary job. So I ask for your favorable consideration of our request, and I thank you on behalf of our board of directors, on behalf of our really extraordinarily hardworking volunteers, and most of all on behalf of the grateful clients we serve. Thank you.
Any questions from anybody? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Starting Point.
Good afternoon. Thank you for all your past support of Starting Point. I think perhaps most of you are aware of our services. We provide free and confidential services to all victims of domestic and sexual violence, stalking, and human trafficking here in Carroll County. We have a shelter with a capacity for 13, that's 5 adults and up to 8 children. It's always at capacity. And we work with all other agencies in the county in order to provide the best continuum of care for people. So in a population of homeless people, about 90% of those folks screen into our services because they've had victimization. This is true of our substance misuse population, our mental health population, and our incarcerated population here in Carroll County. So we work across the board with as many agencies as possible to break the cycle of domestic and sexual violence. I'll leave it there because I think you do know mostly about what we do, and just see if there's any questions.
Do you have any questions? Casey?
Can I just ask a financial question? So
Yeah.
you asked for a 34% increase. Could you just explain?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Increase in financial support. Last year we gave you $4,436, and now you're asking for $6,728.
Yeah, our numbers have gone up significantly since COVID, and the extent of the services needed seems to be greater than I've ever seen before. I've been with the agency almost 40 years as the daughter of a volunteer and then a volunteer and on staff. I've never seen it quite this bad. We delivered close to, over 10,000 services. I think it was 14,000 services last year, and we had 4,000 bed nights. So we're seeing a lot more. I think the good news is we're seeing a lot more disclosure. We got a lot of coverage nationally for domestic violence agencies, and so we're getting a lot of calls early. We're getting more calls from our hospitals, from our police, from our healthcare agencies as well.
Okay, I just wanted to get it on the record.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions at this point? Thank you.
All right. Thank you again for all your support in the past.
Next, we have Kingswood Youth Center.
Good evening. I'm Zachary Porter, representing the Kingswood Youth Center. Huge thank you for long-standing support from the town of Wolfeboro. We would like to be considered for level funding in the amount of $5,000. The youth center, we've operated here in town for over 20 years, 22 years now, and we're doing more than ever before. We have several major programs. Our long-standing after-school program, and that's daily after school, our best known and best attended program. But in recent years, we've expanded later into the evenings. So we have several programs that go beyond the after school right now. We're being visited across town by a yoga instructor, a professional yoga instructor who's hosting an evening program. Before I came here, I cooked a nice roast beef dinner. We had an early dinner and got ready for that program. So we do well into the evening. We also have expanded our summer program lately, as of recently. So we're doing as many hours of services in the summer as we do in the school year at this time. We do an individual mentoring program, and we do that for both high school and middle schoolers. And we've evolved that into a model where we're using a combination of peer-to-peer mentoring as well as adult to teen mentoring, and we have a great group and some wonderful outcomes we've seen from that over the years. We have our own food pantry. That's a relatively new program since COVID started. It started as a extra bit of support amidst the more challenging, more restrictive times of the pandemic, but we realized quickly how beneficial and how appreciated that was. So we knew for sure we were not going to stall those efforts even as things opened up. So in the last 2 years, each year we've distributed over 20,000 pounds of food through our food pantry, and that's fresh, that's frozen, that's meat, that's dairy, eggs, as well as shelf-stable items and household essentials. We have our own thrift store, and we say store, but it's a free thrift store, so it's lightly used clothing that is free to the teens who participate. In doing all this, we've greatly expanded our hours over the past couple of years. So our response to the pandemic was, okay, we can't have as many people at the center, so we need to be at the center more. We need to be offering more hours of services so that we can hit everyone. Well, we hit our stride with those longer hours, and once things became less restrictive, we were able to start offering bigger groups, unlimited group size, but keep those hours. So in other words, we're providing really the best of both worlds. We're serving those bigger groups, and we're also continuing to offer the expanded hours. So prior to the pandemic, we offered about 550 hours of service each year. That year, the first year of opening amidst the pandemic, the 2020-21 year, we increased that to 636 hours. And then this most recent year end, the 21 to 22 year, we were able to bring that up again to 775 hours, and we've commenced a schedule by which we should serve teens for 800 hours this coming year. So a pretty big increase, and we've created some efficiencies to do so, and it's we definitely believe that our services are needed more than ever before. Each year we serve over 100 students. Some of those participants join us over 100 times. During the last school year, we served 109 students. 25 of those individuals resided here in the town of Wolfeboro, which equates to 23% of the total participant base. We do serve the entire school district. We help with transportation. We both provide our own, and we collaborate with the schools to make that happen and get people to the program. We recently made an arrangement with the Hope House where we told them by all means, anyone who is a teen residing at Hope House who has permission to join us, we will bring them to and from any program. And we have had individuals take advantage of that, which we think is wonderful. Again, all our programs are free, they're fun, they're educational, and they include a free hot meal. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, anybody?
I just want to say thank you for everything you do for the kids in the community. It's fantastic.
Our pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Northern Human Services.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Velita Saraselli. I'm the Behavioral Health Director of Carroll County for Northern Human Services. Many of you might know about us. Northern Human Services is a nonprofit community mental health center. We have an office located on Bay Street here in Wolfeboro. We offer an array of mental health services, such as emergency services, which includes a mobile crisis unit that operates with a master level clinician that's available 24/7. We have a deployment team with that mobile crisis unit that we started up this year, which is new for us. That program runs Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to midnight. So if somebody is in crisis and they contact mobile crisis, we will deploy a team out to them, which consists of 2 peer support specialists. And when they get to wherever the client is in the community, they will hook up with a master level clinician through telehealth. So it's a pretty good program. We've seen some positive results with that. We also provide outpatient therapy for adults and children. We have psychiatric services, case management, and assertive community treatment. As many of you are aware, mental health is a growing concern in this country as well as in the state of New Hampshire. Mental health is a much needed and valuable service to provide to the members of our community. One of the most valuable services that we do provide is that mobile crisis and our emergency services. Excuse me. Emergency services is something that we are mandated to do by the state. However, we absolutely enjoy providing that service. The program does a lot of good for a lot of people. We've helped people get out of crisis situations, get them in touch with where they need to be, and get them the help that they need. Every year, our emergency services runs in a deficit due to patients being uninsured or underinsured. In calendar year 2021, we served 151 clients out of Wolfeboro who fell into that category of uninsured or underinsured. We provided a total of roughly 600 hours of service at a cost of $108,000. Despite the rise in costs, we are still requesting level funding in the amount of $7,449. The funds that we receive from Wolfeboro goes directly to the residents of Wolfeboro to help offset those costs that we incur through our emergency services and mobile crisis program. I would be happy to answer any questions that any of you may have.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is Senior Center Meals.
Good evening. I'm Amy Capone-Muccio. I wear my hat as the welfare administrator for the town of Wolfeboro, so I'll just do a little plug that I work with everyone on this list, and if it were not for their services, I could not effectively do my job. So I thank them for all that they do all year long. And at one time or another, I've probably sat on most of these boards. I currently sit on 2, and one of those is Wolfeboro Senior Center and Meals. This year, we're asking for level funding, $25,000. We've had a revamp, bless you, in our committee and how we perform our lunches. Originally, we had been in the undercroft of the All Saint Church, and we stopped having meals there during COVID. And in that time, our licensing has expired. We didn't have many board members, but I'm happy to say that you could see on the bottom of my list, I have many new members and a couple pending members coming onto this board to help us move forward and focus on our mission of the mission of the Wolfeboro Senior Center and Meals is to enrich the lives of seniors at an inclusive place that offers educational programs, informational events, recreational well-being activities, and a wholesome noontime meal. Our purpose is to make longer lives better by enhancing dignity, empowering and supporting independence, and encouraging involvement in a welcoming community. During our time of COVID, we've run some off-site events and lunches, and we've learned that several people have moved here during the COVID and have come from other communities that have much larger type programs than us. So we will be continuing to look for a permanent home, but for the time being, we have switched from hiring a cook to hiring a coordinator and have different programs that we're going to offer through this season. We have partnered with Granite State VNA, as he spoke earlier, with some of those programs that we're promoting through our program. We will be partnering with the Ledges and Christian Ridge, and we've requested a grant to help bring lunches back to that location, because that hasn't happened in many years there, and those folks cannot get off site. And then for our other regular community members, we'll be offering some different programs. We just had a lunch at the Nick. They have a trip coming up to Castle in the Clouds. Some Halloween and Christmas activities will be coming up as well.
Okay, any questions for Amy at this point? Go ahead. Okay, thank you.
And Dave, I'll let you know that Tri-County is online.
Okay, we've already been, we can, why don't we take them now? Okay, Tri-County action. Do you want to? Amy? Do they have something that's online? Okay, we're going to come back to Tri-County. The next one on our agenda is caregivers of Southern Carroll County.
Good evening. I'm Barbara Hunt, here on behalf of caregivers of Southern Carroll County. So imagine, if you will, that you live alone and you're not feeling well, or maybe you need eye surgery, or your doctor wants you to go for some diagnostics tests somewhere, or perhaps you have family and friends in the area and you're going for regular chemotherapy treatments, and you can't ask somebody to take off time from work every single week to take you to an appointment. It can be frustrating, it can be scary, especially if you're older and alone. So if you find yourself in this situation, what are you going to do? Who are you going to call? Well, lucky for us, we have caregivers here in Wolfeboro. And for the last 34 years, we have been providing medical transportation to appointments locally and out of town at no charge to the residents of Wolfeboro, Tuftonboro, Alton, and Ossipee who find themselves in this situation. We are the only organization like this that provides transportation door to door for people to medical appointments. We are an all-volunteer organization, and approximately half of our funding every year comes from the 4 towns that we serve. The other half comes from private organizations and from individuals. And just as treasurer, in the last couple of months, I've received donations from people we have given rides to, along with some very nice notes about how important this is to them, or how critical it was to have this help, or help for a family member that needed it. Our major expense, over 90% every year in a typical year, is to reimburse our volunteer drivers. We've been doing that at 45 cents a mile for trips that are 50 miles or more round trip. We do not reimburse drivers for trips under 50 miles. Each year, approximately half of the reimbursements that we make again, in a typical year, are for Wolfeboro residents, and most of the non-reimbursed local trips are for Wolfeboro residents. I keep saying typical year because obviously with COVID for the last 2 years, we have not had a typical year. We have had to suspend our services several times for the safety of our drivers and our clients. And as a result of that, our expenses in those 2 years have obviously gone down. People were not driving, we were not reimbursing them. Our income, however, has also gone down because a lot of the private organizations and individuals have not been in a position to donate to us during that time. But generally, during those 2 years, our expenses were less than our income. So we have built up somewhat of a cash reserve during that time. And we are operating again. We are building back up. We're not sure when those private donations are going to get back up to a more normal level. So the funding from the towns right now is very important to us. But because we have built up that reserve, for 2023, we are reducing our requests to each of the 4 towns by $500. For Wolfeboro, we had, for this year, we had asked for and received $4,500. We are reducing that for 2023 to $4,000. And we have appreciated the support of the taxpayers and hope that it will continue. So we thank you for your time. We thank all of you for what you do for the town. And if anybody has any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
I just want to say thank you for what you do, and also thank you for the transparency. That's absolutely wonderful.
Oh, well, I mean, we wrestle with that, but we have to be honest and, you know.
Much appreciated.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Next on our agenda is dinner bell.
Hi, I'm Carroll Simpson, filling in for Bill Peterson, so just if you see a strange face. I work each week in the dinner bell. I oversee all the operations of the Thursday afternoon community meal. I think most of you are familiar with what the dinner bell is. It is a community meal in collaboration of the churches and members of the community, offering to feed and strengthen our community. We gather weekly on Thursday evening during the pandemic, and still we do a takeout option for people who need a meal, and we also deliver to several people who are housebound, who cannot come and get a meal. And so now, because things have lightened up some, we have just gone a few weeks ago to an option of continuing to do the takeout meal or doing a sit-down meal at the church. And there are volunteers that do all the prep work, and we have a professional chef, and we have volunteers who serve the meal. And so just a little information here from Bill. All Saints acts as the fiscal agent and nonprofit sponsor for the Dinner Bell community meal. In the last fiscal year, volunteers covered 193 shifts, and our paid chef served over 1,246 meals. We received $4,200 in cash donations from people who attended Dinner Bell or took advantage of the takeout meal. And All Saints provides administrative support to the program at no cost. Last year, we received $5,500. This year, from the town. This year, we're asking for $600, and the reason we're doing that is that our total expenses last year was $9,700, and our expenses, which included food and payment to the chef, cleaning supplies, and taxes, was just under $11,700. $100. So we had about a $2,000 deficit. So we're asking for an increase from $550 to $6,000 if possible. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you. Next, we have CASA. Anybody here? Okay. End 68 hours of hunger.
How's everyone tonight?
Good.
Good to see you. I'm Jan Brooks, and I'm one of the program coordinators for End 68 Hours of Hunger. Carol Simpson is another coordinator, and Eileen Levitt is the third coordinator. We are asking for level funding this year, and we'd like to thank you and all the work you do and the effort and the support that you've given us in the past. We are a nonprofit organization, and we work to confront the approximately 68 hours of hunger that children may experience over the weekend when they're not in schools. Our population is preschool through grade 6, and often the last meal they may have is on noon on Friday, and they may not have another full meal until Monday morning. So the goal of our program is to provide food for the weekend for those students. We serve all the schools within the Governor Wentworth School District: Wolfeboro, Brookfield, Tuftonboro, Ossipee, Effingham, and Middleton. And we rely solely on fundraising, financial donations, and allocations from the towns. Our organization is fully volunteer. We have about 45 to 50 volunteers who they might order food, keep our supply and inventory up on a weekly basis, pick up the food, do the budgeting, promoting our cause, and also being able to pack the bags for the kids on a weekly basis. We've provided as many bags as 200 for students each week. During COVID, we had 200 students over a period of time. Our average is about 111. At this point of time in the school year, we have 130 students across the district. Our community support has been incredible. We've been going for 9 years now, and over the last couple of years, not only you, the other towns, and the communities within each of the towns has been incredibly supportive of the donations that we've received from the towns, from the individual people, the grants that we've received as well, which has enabled us to expand our program to include students who are working towards achieving their graduate degree from high school at the Carroll County Academy. We've also been able to reach out to homeschool students who need support, so we're there for them if they like that, if they need the support. And we are able to work right through the summer as well. We used to end at the end of June and then pick up again in September, but now we're pretty much going right through the summer. We work closely with the Governor Wentworth School District. Their administrators are very supportive of our program. We have a homeschool coordinator, Deb Bunting, who's a counselor in Ossipee, and she oversees all the schools and provides us with numbers of kids that need support. So she speaks with the administrators, the counselors, and the teachers to know what children are in need. And also the Governor Wentworth Regional School District Transportation. We have certain bus drivers who will pick up the food each week and take it to the schools, and then bring the bins back to us so that we can fill it again for another week. The All Saints Episcopal Church has provided us with a location in which we have our site. All our food is located there, as well as that's where we do our packing of bags. And then students from Brewster Academy have also been supporting us in the way that they'll come and take the foods out of the car for us once we have picked up the food from Market Basket or Hannaford's, and they'll put it on the shelves for us, so they come in each week. As I mentioned before, the cost of our program is 100% donations received directly, which goes directly for purchasing food. The average cost of a bag has been $14 per bag. It's now gone up to $16 a bag. And with the food expenditures, the state of the economy these days, we can see those only increasing as well. So the cost of we had an average of 111 students last year, and it was about $1,540 per week for all the bags. The total cost of food expenditures for the year was about $55,000. However, for the number of students we were serving, it was a total of $77,700. So even though we're paying less for food, we have the demand is out there. So that's why we need the support from others as well as the donations. In Wolfeboro, we have 3 locations where we pick up food. Carpenter School, or we deliver food, I should say. Carpenter School, Crescent Lake, and also the Children's Center. At Carpenter, we've had 8 students last year. Crescent, we had 4 students, and the Children's Center was not involved during COVID because it just was not workable for them. So last year we had about 12 students. For 50 weeks, we had about 600 bags delivered, and it was approximately cost of $8,400 for those 3 areas, a total. So based on the support that we have received from the community, from the towns, from the patrons, from the tourists, from everyone, we are asking for level funded for next year. But with the challenges, we know that we are kind of reaching for our goal that we will continue to receive the support from everyone beyond the towns because, that's what's made it happen for us. Again, we thank you for all your support, and I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say, I'd like to say also thank you very much because I've seen the program in action, and it's a wonderful, wonderful program.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, next is Children Unlimited.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shelley Rondeau. I am representing Children Unlimited tonight. I am their contracted nurse for their Comprehensive Family Supports Program, which provides home services to all children 0 to 21 in Carroll County. So Children Unlimited is asking for level funding this year. We have provided service throughout the whole COVID time to these families in the home. We did not stop any of our services during the pandemic. They served 11 families in Wolfeboro last year and a total of 186 families in Carroll County. This program provides the nursing part of it, which I go in and help with medical issues or parenting or growth and development. And then they have other services like the parent educator and growth and development screenings and in-home and community-based support. So they are asking for level funding again. These kids are our future. And you've heard me say this a million times, and you're gonna hear me say it a million times more. If we don't educate them and provide medical services, we're not gonna have a future. So, any questions?
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now, is this anybody here from the Children's Center now? Thank you.
I'd love to follow Shelley. I'm Terry Ann Cox. I'm the Executive Director at the Children's Center. Once again, we are too asking for level funding. We're right down the street. I know you know about the Children's Center as we've been there for more than 45 years. We're coming up actually on our 50th anniversary in 2024. But just a couple of quick notes as you do consider our level funding request. Our families that do need our support continue to need it in really great amounts, including not just to cover their scholarship to have their child at the center for us to be able to help educate and or provide care, but it tends to reach further into food support, housing support, et cetera. And we are in collaboration with programs like Children's Unlimited and 68 Hours of Hunger and all the rest. So we really appreciate all of those folks who also help us wrap around the total family and support them beyond just their early educational needs. We are also one of the larger employers in the Wolfeboro area. We do have a staff of 45. I would say our biggest challenge right now is the workforce. We are the workforce behind the workforce. I know you've read about that. I'm a little bit nervous as we enter the end of the year because we have, while it's our future, we have 3 teachers who are having babies at the end of the year. So I hope I can find staff to come in behind and substitute for them while they're on maternity leave. But at the end of the day, we are here to provide affordable, high-quality childcare and early education. And we're very proud that we can serve the families here in the community. The particular details around Wolfeboro, who we very much appreciate the town's support. In the past, we have been able to assist 81 families, and in total, specifically, as far as the spending, Wolfeboro accounts for about 50% of the additional spending support that we provide in tuition assistance. We also do continue to receive support from Tufton Borough. They slightly increased their funding and do cover, along with the Mirror Lake Community Church, the families in need from those towns. But while there are other municipalities that we serve, we haven't at this point been able to get town support, but we do have very much support from individual donors, which we really appreciate. Should we not need the full level funding, I made a notation in my cover letter that we are looking to be facing a loss. However, the American Rescue Plan, the state of New Hampshire continues through DHHS to look for funding to support childcare. For example, the $109,000 gap that I mentioned, we are in receipt of $33,000 from DHHS. So we will continue to try to close that gap, and if we don't need the $10,000, we would return that to the town. But we thank you very much for your support, and like Shelley said, supporting children starting from 6 weeks all the way through age 13, actually, with our before and after school program and summer programming. But are there any questions?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Tri-County Community Action?
Hello? I can, there's a very big echo back. But can you hear me okay?
Yes. We can hear you.
Well, thank you for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity to have the go-to meeting as it's around a 3-hour round trip for me, so I appreciate that. I am the Strategic Initiatives and Projects Director for Tri-County Community Action, which is a nonprofit agency. We have several programs. We cover 3 counties, BoS County, Carroll County, and Grafton County. And we receive funding, and many of our funders require a match, and that is why we ask for funding from the town. A few years back, we started using a formula and basing it off $2.25 per capita so that it's fair and equitable across all towns. We base it to be equal. And it turns out that with the 2020 census, it's only a $14 decrease that we're asking for. So it's pretty much level funding. We're asking for $14,436 based off that formula. We do offer many programs in Wolfeboro. One of the programs that gets a lot of attention and need is the fuel assistance and electric assistance. This year, we are keeping a close eye and making sure that all who are in need will have opportunity to access the program, as we expect it to be a long, hard winter. Last year's numbers, we were able to serve 103 homes in Wolfeboro with the fuel assistance, and another home with electrical assistance. Our guardianship program also serves in Wolfeboro, as well as our transportation. Weatherization, there were 3 homes that received weatherization, the amount of $15,000 plus. And we have a Head Start student that comes from Wolfeboro, and the equivalent is $13,703 for that child to receive education. We also provide, several people utilize our dental center. We had 253 visits from Wolfeboro. So our total clients that are directly from Wolfeboro is 527, with a total value of services of $228,714. One of the other programs that we have, we work with the USDA food distribution. And so we help distribution to the local food pantries that many that we heard from tonight. We also have our homeless intervention, which Wolfeboro had 10 clients that utilized that program throughout the year. We are grateful to be a part of your community and able to bring these services. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, I don't think anybody here does, at least not now. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess we have Meals on Wheels. Seeing as how that's the only one we haven't done. Yeah.
Hi there. My name is Cheryl Dempsey. I represent Meals on Wheels. We've submitted a request for level funding as requested by the town. You may know that the majority of our meals are delivered to Wolfeboro residents. We deliver 11,000 meals annually. About 75% of those meals are for Wolfeboro residents, 25% to 70% to Wolfeboro, 25% to Tuftonboro, and 5% to Brookfield. We do request and receive funding from the other towns in proportion to the number of meals delivered. So that 11,000 meals equates to about 45 to 55 participants a day, 5 days a week. The other thing that Wolfeboro Meals on Wheels does is provide wellness checks. So if the drivers see something that isn't quite right, we request a wellness check that either results in having a call with the family or medical intervention. And there were 60 wellness checks requested by the drivers within the past year. You may also know that the meals are prepared by Huggins Hospital. They're packaged by our 2 part-time staff members and then delivered to the volunteer drivers for delivery to our clients. One other thing. Our clients are offered an opportunity to choose from 2 entrees and up to 4 side dishes, 5 days a week, with the menu that rotates once a month and changes twice a year. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Oh, just one. How does somebody find your program?
They can call the office, 603-515-2043.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The only other thing we have tonight is our next meetings. Does everybody have a list of those?
CASA.
CASA?
Yeah, that's
You heard from them? Amy? Okay. Well, I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. If anybody, or somebody has.
So moved.
A second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
So we'll see you on October 5th, right? A regular meeting.
The regular meeting and the first budget meeting after that.
Then we start having meals.
Get our priorities straight.